Testing. Bows and arrows. How about now?
Bozars, thank you for being here.
You're
and,
only hope, Kyle, please.
our new IT member from across the country, Kyle Bowes.
Welcome.
On. It's all right.
On.
Liverpool are in financial crisis.
Take two.
You know, whatever.
We're
Give us
live?
the intro. It is
I know
what
we're
it is. That's
Listen,
that.
listen to the podcast
We're-
version. Listen to the podcast version.
You heard
later.
our names behind the scenes, Marco and Vlad. All right.
Hey guys.
Literally.
Make sure you give a like, a follow. Everything is in the description down below. We appreciate that. It goes a very long way. And get on the bench. Come banter us. We want it. We want to banter you back. A lot of bantering today. I can just feel it already. Nick, you have an opening question. You said.
I do have an opening question. So,
Who do you think you are?
so with the news of Neymar being out for 4 months,
Oh god.
missing the rest of the season, and it's not on Neymar himself, but do you think that a player who gets injured often, who is very injury prone, should he use that against them in terms of debates, comparisons, and whatnot? Like, can you use a player that's very injury prone and say he's very injury prone? I can't.
And
That's a knock on him.
and to completely discredit whatever he's done or will do. Is that what you mean?
I think if you compare them to somebody else who hasn't gone through the same things, then yes, that's not fair. But to say that a player isn't good or he hasn't achieved what he's achieved just because he's injury prone, he's not that good, I wouldn't go as that far. But if you're going to compare him to Messi, Messi's been doing it for much longer, much more consistently.
Much
hasn't been
better.
Injured. I think much more entertaining to watch the team. But yeah, it's
I feel like there's a
take.
second. I feel like there's. Whenever Nick has a question like this, there's a second layer usually. But I think it's like,
This is onion. We're putting it layer by layer.
yeah, it's an onion, you know.
Could be.
But I agree. I think like we know players that we would even banter by saying that they're made of glass. And the thing is that like that, of course, you could say that maybe biologically they didn't pick that they're maybe not fit. There are other players that are tanks that who was this guy Iñaki Williams who's playing like whole.
Remember Hulk?
Yeah, and Hulk, and these guys just don't they don't bend, they don't fold, they never go off injured. So I think like it's one of the things that it's an individual attribute, I guess. As far as what they've been, this is a great player. He's very technical, but he's also again very injury prone. I think it's you got to look at the whole thing. So I agree with what Eric is saying at least. But if you're gonna compare it to someone, which I feel like it's coming.
No.
No, there's no landmine. Oh
No,
Jesus.
no. Oh, wait, I was just curious because, like, Neymar has been very injury prone these last couple years, and I just like maybe if you slide that onto other players, like, can you use a player being extremely injury prone against them?
Listen, if you got
You
a
know?
sister that you have to celebrate her birthday every single year, so you just conveniently get injured and around the same time, that's a different thing. Some people-
Bolsonaro says injuries mean less games, means less opportunities for accomplishments.
Yeah, pretty much. But with a player with Neymar, he's accomplished a lot.
Yes.
You know, like he's up there. You know,
Mm.
but can you use that
I like
against him?
I like to recall R9, Ronaldo, the old Ronaldo. Like I think he could have been the greatest of all time, but injuries. Like it's hard for him to like maintain himself and be at that level.
Correct. It doesn't have
When,
to be.
when you're driving like you're a Ferrari, you're literally like at the peak of football.
It doesn't
You're
necessarily
gonna break down eventually.
have to be a negative either, because we all look at Adriano with a completely different light, because we always go, oh, what if? Oh, what if? Like, if only like these injuries weren't. And of course, he had. I'm not even trying to gloss over the things off the pitch that he obviously struggled with, but he did have his issues, at least injury
But
wise.
with Adriano, wasn't it like a full?
I think that was more mental breakdown than anything.
Yeah.
Like, or for example, with Fenomeno, the guy like
was-
busted his ACL
Mhm,
like twice.
mhm.
I look at those injuries more as they happen, but with Neymar, I think he gets these reoccurring injuries. Like I think for example,
I can see a
I
Pogba
can
angle
take-
coming.
I can take for any like ACL injury that happened to a player. I wouldn't view that as injury prone, even if they decline after their said injury.
That's happened to me, you know.
Yeah, bro. Exactly.
He
Eric
could have been the
was-
greatest of all time.
Eric was up there,
He was on that path.
and
to
if
be
it
the
wasn't
greatest of
for
all
the
time.
knee, bro,
My
if it
ACL
wasn't for the
broke
knee,
out.
That's
know?
a story to tell to your nephew.
To Santi, I told him that,
To your son.
I could have gone to college, but never happened.
He was on his way to score the winner today,
Yeah.
and then he got it on 20.
No, I get that. Yeah, I get that. Like, basically like an in-game injury that comes as part of the play versus he's out again, he's out again, or in training he's out again.
Another thing is like it happens behind the scenes,
That's
so
another
we
thing
can't be
too,
like,
yeah.
oh, he definitely injured himself. We have to be like skeptical, be like, did he really? Is he really going to see his sister? Is he really going to do this? Is he like we don't know anything about him because he doesn't. Nothing happens to him on the field.
Aren't there? There's also stories of players that have gotten injured by their own teammates, like in practice, because they go hard and then they're like, oh damn, he went in 2-footed or whatever. So we also got to account for that.
How many times have you heard that players missing a game because he got knocked during training?
Exactly.
happens.
Yeah. Exactly. But
As a wise man once said, the best ability is availability.
Yes.
Would you use it against a player?
Would I use it against a player? If I'm rating him
I
against other players,
Yeah, exactly.
yes, I would.
I would.
I wouldn't put
Depends who
Neymar in
you're
the conversation.
Comparing him against. Obviously, he's not in the topic for greatest of all time.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
can't be.
That's
In,
what I'm
you
saying.
can't be in.
That's
The,
why
Right.
there's a lot of players who people would probably say, "Oh yeah, this player from this year to this year it was the best." I'm like, yeah, but I wouldn't put him all time.
yeah,
because
he can't be
that's not
considered
all time.
anymore for
You know,
Mhm.
because he gave up his chance at PSG. Like PSG was his moment to shine and do what he was supposed to do, win Champions League, win the league, blah blah. Even then, that's a stretch because PSG. What are you really gonna do at PSG? It's just a money team,
Win the league,
basically.
Keeping it on Neymar, it's almost done, man. I can't believe like so many years have already
His era is
passed,
done.
and it's like it just went in a
was
flash.
it ever his era?
I guess we can make that argument. We can make that argument
I don't
soon.
think it ever
Well,
was
well,
his
his,
era.
his best prime was when he was a Messi, but he was overshadowed. But I don't think he should have worried about being overshadowed. He was literally with the best player of all time, and he could have made a legacy that's more longer lasting and maybe more substantial with Barcelona. But I guess his
Well, look, anything
desire.
Barcelona related right now, I think we should kind of just
Nice
take it
little
with a
bow.
grain of salt because
Nice little
you know,
ball.
there's some rumors going around right now where some refs were paid. I don't know the full scope of the situation, so I'm not gonna comment on it. But I just know that Arsenal should get on the Champions League by the looks of it.
Just only La Liga.
Arsenal, Madrid, Chelsea.
Just wait until the
United.
ones
That
on.
Chelsea game is like so much.
I saw that.
Like,
I saw that reel. I saw that reel, bro.
remember
that's
that
a little more.
Barcelona-Chelsea game?
Yeah, hell yeah, I remember that.
Now it's like that's even looking more like oh shit.
Back then it was a huge ass deal. Now it's an even bigger deal, but kind of people like
Yeah.
kind of forget about it maybe.
Real Madrid versus Bayern is.
Now we're getting off the rails right now.
Yeah.
That's also a very good point.
I think that's the biggest one. I think that's the biggest.
But
one.
the remontada.
That's the funniest game ever. But yeah.
Don't get me started on that. But no, that's a good question, man. I like that. I think that's a good way to probably. It's a good.
Can I ask another question? Because of his injuries, who would you put above Neymar just because of the injuries?
Well, like
Or who was on par with him until you're like, all right, Neymar hasn't done what we expected him to do. So
It's kinda
this person
hard
goes
for me
above
to
him.
Say that.
Well, the players he gets constantly compared apart from like your Bales, your
Mhm.
Hazards, your Suarez's.
I kind of think
your
he's clear of them.
Salahs, Your Robins.
I think he's kind of clear of them.
I would say all time.
Yeah.
I would say all time. He's obviously clearer of them. But if
Yeah.
you're like, for example, if you were
Over
to
Bale?
compare, I think so.
It's different style of plays, but one. I mean, if you talk about success.
That's true. It's a different style of play. I
Like for
don't,
example,
it's hard to say.
2017, I think Salah has been better than Neymar. Now, albeit Neymar obviously has better stats, but I think you can use Salah's crazy availability over Neymar.
There it is, guys.
Yeah.
There,
Right,
there,
see-
that,
see,
that was
that-
that was the
yeah,
card in the
yeah.
sleeve.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
card in the sleeve, bro. It was all
So
like.
at the end of the day, Salah is better than Neymar. Salah is better than
If you
Neymar.
have your all-time team.
Since 6
and
years
you-
ago, yeah.
If you have your all-time team right now, and you have to pick either Salah or Neymar to put in for shits and giggles,
They're going to play the same position for this sake.
Yeah, and
No,
for
Neymar,
this
Neymar.
argument, you put Neymar.
Yeah, Neymar. I'm just
Okay.
saying
All
since
right.
2017.
All right. That's
Since 2017.
that's valid. I can see that.
Of course. And then and then now it makes sense. Obviously, the injuries come into play because he hasn't been able to catch up to what, at least the performance-wise, if you want to look at it under a microscope. Of course, I think that holds up.
I also have a question for you guys. I asked you guys last night. I don't know who answered it though. I forget who answered it, but
What's
I'm
up,
kind of
what's up?
curious to kind of get you're just saying, it's not football related. It's just more kind of want to see where your guys' minds are at and in La La Land like me sometimes. But if you could move anywhere in the world where money is no object, you can take your whole family with you. You guys can live the life you want. Where are you going?
Plainfield.
I
I did it. We out here.
Front Street.
That was fast.
He wants to build his kingdom, bro.
Jesus.
definitely out of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Money's no object.
I'll maintain my shout just so these
Oh,
guys
yeah.
have a few more minutes to
Remember.
chat. But I shouted out Portugal.
Yeah.
Portugal's had a very good rap for becoming a good place to just settle down, maybe root in, especially like retirement age couples and families and stuff like that. I've heard that it's actually pretty good. So, and then if I'm closer to Eric when he moves there and stuff, so we can see the Ronaldo statue unveiling
Ooh,
in
let's do
10
it.
years.
Let's do it.
It'd be cool.
How old will Santi be at that time?
Damn, depends when you move out there, bro. I don't know.
All right, but I'm kind of torn between like going to South America, between Ecuador. I like Colombia, like geographically, I like that. But I think my dream is Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like
Somebody said that last night.
northern
Swiss-
Italy,
Swiss-
the border.
Last night, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Sweat gave a few options in that same area, but yes,
I think Europe is probably the top.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
definitely,
I go to northern Italy just because Italian
Northern
class.
Yeah,
Italy.
I would
yeah,
definitely-
Italy, I like
Yeah.
that.
I would definitely say
Border
Europe.
of Switzerland.
I'm leaning more towards Spain just because I fell in love with Spain the couple times that I went there, so I'm probably leaning more towards Spain, but just really anywhere,
Damn, I fell in love.
anywhere in
now.
Europe.
Looking at this from a footy perspective, that's also very interesting because we'd have access to all of that finally if
And
we
And-
did.
maybe,
And Colombian
we're
girls.
thinking maybe the
And-
players, maybe the players think like that too. Like, oh shit, do I wanna go to
Geographically.
South America, or do I want to go to Europe, play in Europe. That's another.
Absolutely.
It's funny you say Spain and like this is a completely different conversation. But my brother was texting me. He's like, "Yo," he sent me like this heat map like of the world, and it was specifically Spain that was like really really hot. I'm like, "What is this?" He's like, "Estrada. It's so popular in Spain." I'm like, "Bro, you were conquered by Spaniards, and you do not look Indian. What do you think you are? You idiot! Like, why you with me? Like, come on, it's obvious."
Wow, that's crazy. Had to give you here. That's crazy.
I can't.
I mean,
I-
it's pretty obvious, right?
I
Like, come on.
can't. I can't comment if I want to go to work tomorrow, so I'm gonna stay quiet.
But yeah, that was just a little. But
Oh,
what
they
do
made
you
you
think?
sign NDAs, guy? What's going on?
Jesus.
Nick, where you going? You
I
going
don't
to
know
Dubai?
what I don't know.
I feel
See,
like Nick
I-
will go
I don't-
somewhere tropical, bro.
You see,
You
I don't
have
know what
that.
kind of
Nah,
person
Nick-
I am. Am
Nick
I
said-
a-
Nick's going to London.
Nah.
Bruh,
Let-
You
let
look
me-
like,
Yeah.
you look like a rainy day kind of guy.
You see, I don't know
low
what kind of.
key, I
person-
wouldn't mind that either. Actually,
No, bro, he's
Am I-
he's
am
from the
I-
Caribbean.
I
hate
don't know
the
if I'm a
sun.
tropical kind of guy or like a city, not city. but,
Nah.
people
I
You're-
can
all,
see
like,
him
I
in the
don't
city
know.
and like this
Nice little
fucking
suit.
peacoat on.
Nah.
with
Yeah.
him or some
Nick-
shit.
Keeping the hair though. Keeping the hair.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
In a nice suit. Yeah, I can see
Nah.
that.
Darwin Núñez, bro.
Like tipo,
How would you do?
tipo Jason
He's
Momoa.
Montevideo, you feel me?
all day, all day, all day,
Ah,
all day, all day, all day.
Oh my God, bro.
Nick,
come
Nick's
on.
definitely going to Europe, dude. I'm telling you.
I don't know,
Dude,
dude.
It's either
I
that or
don't- 'cause
like
I'm
fucking
not, I'm not
Jamaica.
old enough to like know what kind of like am I like a tropical like chill on the beach?
You gotta
No
go.
Go to Colombia, bro. Go
I
to
mean-
Colombia.
or
Go to
am I-
Colombia.
I
What do you
mean,
do? What do
let
you
me-
do? What do you do in the summer?
Yeah. Do you go to the beach in the summer here?
Not much.
So you're
feel
not a
like-
tropical
So
kind
then,
of
I
guy.
like a
then you're
mix of
probably
both.
not a tropical
Yeah,
kind of
you're
guy.
definitely-
then.
But I
Like
feel
a
like
mix
I
of
feel like
both.
once you do get that one tropical like that one experience, it sticks.
Yeah.
It
Okay,
sticks
okay.
with you.
Like
I think
Hawaii,
I think
dude.
Rio.
Hawaii, bro.
Like Rio. 'Cause
Rio.
I think you get a mix
Rio.
of the city
Ooh.
and like
Yeah,
beaches
yeah,
right
yeah.
there.
We still have to
That's
get
flat-
shout out
that's
there, bro.
flashbacks
I didn't
for
even
Eric
think
right
about
now.
that.
And if there's
That's
no
That's
money
last
issue,
night. Yeah, look like damn.
money isn't an issue.
Yeah, the World War II
You
me
know
with
what?
the cat and
Yeah.
shit, freaking bombers
Honestly,
flying in.
bro,
Oh,
that,
shit.
that ocean. We went in the middle of winter.
Tell us
supposedly.
about it.
The
It
middle.
was like fucking midnight. It was me, my brother Javier, and Ricky are playing soccer volley.
At midnight.
Against Brazilians.
No, hell no. No. We don't want to look that bad. It was amongst each other. But dude, it was like we played for like hours, and then like around like 1 a.m, we're like, oh, it's sweaty. It's running to the water. It's probably freezing, right? We went into
So
the
sexy.
water. It was perfect. Perfect, bro. That shit will forever stick. Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna. Sorry, babe. You can go.
Wow.
You take Santi to Rio, she can go to Portugal.
Guys, the GoFundMe link is down below. If you could just click that and
Yeah.
Please
For
send
real.
us somewhere.
send us something so we can just
Let's send Nick to Japan.
so we can just record in Rio.
Ooh.
Oh, would you go to Japan, Nick? Come on.
I feel like you'd be.
Yeah.
I
He
feel-
looks like
No.
a,
What?
He
you
looks
like
like,
you like technology and
he
stuff
looks
like
like a
high-
Japan kind of guy.
Yeah, you look like a
Yeah.
Japan kind of guy. Like
I
the
fe-
same thing with the city.
That's
You go to.
racist.
It's not because of the eyes.
That's racist.
That's not racist.
No, chill. I feel like you would appreciate, I guess, how deep
The
Japanese
technology,
culture
yeah,
is.
the culture. I think you would.
And,
That's
and
where I'd
I
wanna
feel
go.
like there's gonna be an ease of living that you'll probably get in touch with. I don't know.
Not with the language, though.
And probably and don't take this as like we're trying to get introspective on here. The niggas like, damn, like I just sit here every week. These guys over here trying to do that.
They know me better
Hey,
than
listen,
Buy me out.
Listen, as far as two Caribbean, choices, Puerto Rico or DR, and I'm just gonna let you know, whoever wins in baseball is the place to go. So.
That's Puerto Rico.
Don't
Then.
go to.
Yeah,
Don't go to.
it was Puerto Rico. They
Is that
won.
what you would choose?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh,
Puerto Rico or DR.
I like
Puerto
Puerto
Rico
Rico
or
though.
DR?
Puerto Rico's great, dude.
I've only been to DR.
You have been to DR.
Yeah, I've only been to
I have
DR.
been to
I've never
DR.
been to Puerto Rico yet.
That's
Alright.
tropical.
Yeah, DR. Or DR.
Have you
The
tried
price-
mountains?
No.
No?
No.
You should try mountains. I like mountains.
Anyway,
Just,
Did you
just
choose-
go to
Huh?
just go to Europe, bro. Just
Yeah,
go
it's
Did
good to
I?
Europe, dude. You'll thank
To
me
where-
later.
Like, did you choose like a place where you would
Yeah,
like?
he said
yeah,
Portugal.
Portugal.
Oh,
Because like obviously I would love. I've been to Colombia, Mexico. I would love to, but like as far as something completely different, because since he said like no budget, no financials, whatever you want to go to experience. Because I have experience, I think Portugal would be a cool place. And like not just like the city, but a lot of like the landmarks and other things that I've seen. Very beautiful place, and you have access to great beaches, I would assume. And so I don't want to sound ignorant, but it has been interesting to me. So Portugal's for me.
Marco.
Marco and
he's
Vlad,
walking around to the microphone so he can talk
Marco
into
the
it.
Pacer. Marco the Pacer.
Shit. All right, I'd pick Spain, the southern side of Spain, maybe. Based off of because I love Antigua.
He wants to go to
Regarding
Barcelona.
what
He wants to go
Eric,
to
you know what I'm
Barcelona.
talking about.
Guatemala, yeah.
Nico, you as well. Antigua, I love the Antigua type of feeling, that old school, just colonial type
Yeah.
of homes.
Southern-
It's just walking around,
Southern-
just chill.
Southern Spain
It's
is
still it's a
beautiful.
city-ish, but it's still a city, but it's very low key, like city,
Yeah.
like
Culture.
chill.
Yeah.
That, and I know Spain has that.
I just
Yeah.
need good internet.
That's facts. That's
Just
facts.
give me good internet so I can play my games, and that's it.
Vlad?
Santo Domingo.
Hell nah.
De que lo que.
Punta Cana.
I'm either with Northern Italy or Spain, bro.
Yeah, that Italy
Nice,
style
nice.
is kind of dope.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like Northern Italy because it's like on the border of Switzerland.
Yeah,
Switzerland is
yeah.
actually the destination I would like to be at,
Yeah.
but I
So you
learned
just go to
Italian.
Northern Italy for tax purposes. Then
Tax
you-
evasion. Yeah, I go to tax evasion.
that's what it
Daddy,
sounds
the
like.
situation.
No, aprende,
Elon Musk
aprende.
over here, bro.
Tax evasion.
Property
Oh, man.
taxes are lower in Northern Italy. You just live and he just go to Switzerland after.
Well, now you know we're gonna find us in about 30 years from now. So if we're not here,
2 years.
you know where we're gonna be.
2 years.
Let's move on to kickoff. Y'all ready?
Let's
Yeah,
do
hit
it.
the whistle, bro.
So look, man, we gotta kick it off with a game that is probably on everybody's mind, which is the Real Madrid Liverpool game. 1-0. Klopp smiling his way out of the stadium. Nick, what is your current feeling around Klopp and the way he's managing these players right now to get the best out of them?
What excuse did he give today, or did he give this time? Did he give it?
I don't think he gave any excuse. I don't think he did. Feeling around Klopp right now. He looks very drained. It's has had a horrendous season. I think it's one of the main culprits as to why maybe some individual players aren't performing to their best. I've said before, he is one of the reasons why Liverpool didn't sign a midfielder this past summer. And quite
Wasn't me.
frankly, it's looking just very very dull in my opinion. Even before, I still stick with I don't think he'll be able to successfully rebuild this Liverpool team even after the little decent 5-game stretch they had in the Premier League. I still stick by that. But in terms of just Klopp right now is very odd. Like for example, like he subbed on, and I don't know if there's like some maybe incentive in his contract, but the fact that he subbed on Fabio Carvalho like literally 10 seconds before the final whistle, that's just like dickhead behavior. Like in my opinion, I can't lie. Unless there's an incentive in his contract, it's a Champions League clause or whatnot. But it just seems like he's very not out of ideas, but just very dull.
I think he's unbothered. Like I don't think it matters to him too much anymore.
You think so?
I think, like you said, it's him trying to get the players like going so they can get a better season. But the players don't care either. I don't think.
I do.
I
Agree
think
on
it's
that
just
as
like
well.
it kind of spread out through the whole team. It's difficult for them to reach what they were before because they were operating at such a high level, like a ridiculous, like passing, pressuring, everything was ridiculous when they were playing on their top level. So now it's kind of like, all right, we won it, we did it. What more do you want from us?
So you think they kind of just like just get the season out of the way?
They lost the
whatever
hunger.
happens.
Mhm.
I do
then-
get a very big feeling from the players. And it's funny you guys say that because Allison actually came out today. He said, I don't know full quote, but he was saying that there's like an attitude change or issue in the squad or whatnot. Now, I don't know if it's an attitude in terms of they just fed up, they just feel drained, they just want the season to end, or like what you said, they've quote unquote won it all or whatever, in fact.
Yeah.
But
And I don't want to blame like a certain player. Like I want to say Alexander Arnold. I feel like his attitude is kind of what brings down the whole team morale. Like people that don't care, kind of like Del Ali, like that. Like I don't care, I got this.
Had his
We did
moment
it.
of
Yeah, we
fame.
had a moment. We did it. We're big dogs. Now get at us. Like right now, I got nothing to fight for.
yeah, I think with Trent is that it'd be easy. I think it'd be much easier to like pinpoint him if everyone else around him was pretty good,
Mhm.
was performing at a high level. But if you look at Van Dijk, he's been poor this season.
That's
Obviously,
true.
the midfield, we all know what's going on, and some of the attackers. So I think it'd be easier to pinpoint it on Trent if everyone else has been decent or good. But since everyone else has been poor, it's just hard to really, like, you say, oh, Trent's been poor. You can say the same thing with Van Dijk and
True.
Fabinho or whatnot. So, but yeah, I do agree. There's definitely an attitude issue. But in terms of Klopp, like he needs this humbling season. I can't fathom the fact that you lose the Premier League by a point and a Champions League final in the span of a week and still think you need no changes. I just can't fathom how you think that. Like I remember in the summer he was like, "Oh, we got James Milner, Ox, et cetera, et cetera. What else do you need?" I just can't fathom that after losing the two major trophies in the span of a week in a very devastating way, that you don't think you can improve on your team. And so it just screams arrogance. And I just think, quite frankly, I just think the manager, his assistant coach, coaching staff, recruitment staff, or whatnot, they needed this season to put themselves back into check because going into the summer, there was literally quotes saying that when the transfer window ends in the summer, that a lot of the recruitment staff or the managers, they laugh at the Sky Sports TV at the other business from other teams, and it just screams arrogance that say, "Oh, we're above these teams. We don't even have to spend or whatnot." It just screams arrogance from the whole club going in from last season. Like I just said, even though they lost two major trophies in the span of a week, so I think the club as a whole just needed this humbling season to just
Question
get themselves
for
back
you.
into check.
Let's say you're like the owner and you make all the decisions. Do you think the team needs a complete overhaul? Like completely get new players and start a new program? And
Chelsea.
would you trust that to Klopp himself?
I just think Liverpool need a entire midfield overall. If you ask me, I think Liverpool need 4, maybe even 5 new midfielders. I think the defense is fine. I think they should look for a center back because obviously Gomez and Matip is leaving the club. The attack is fine, 5 players, Darwin, Salah, et cetera, et cetera. I just think the midfield just needs work. Like Alisson is still, in my opinion, like best goalkeeper in the world. Van Dijk is declined, but I mean he's still like decent, good. Robertson declined, but he's still decent. Trent, he's been pretty poor this season. And the attack, like I said, it's been fine. Like players are underperforming. I don't think the squad needs a complete overhaul like Chelsea does, but it needs a midfield overhaul.
And would you trust it to Klopp?
I would not trust it to Klopp.
All
Just
right,
from
that's a good point.
I've seen this season.
I would agree with that.
So you're Klopp out?
I'm not
Not
Klopp out.
but
I'm
like
not
it's just like
Klopp out.
he
I
did what he
just-
needed to do.
I just think he's peaked in my opinion.
So why keep him?
That's the question. I don't know. I
I
think they
wouldn't.
will keep him.
He's
as well.
Klopp for now.
Klopp until the end of the season.
He's Klopp until the winds change.
I'll give an answer in next season. If he doesn't challenge for, honestly, if Liverpool are able to acquire 3 to 4 players, if he's not able to challenge for at least 3 out of the 4 next trophies next season, then major questions have to be asked about it.
3 of the 4. That's a
Yeah, because
pretty
I
big
expect
undertaking.
them, if they make
That's what
Champions
they
League
were doing.
football,
Mm.
I expect them to challenge for Premier League and Champions League, and then one of the cups. Because Liverpool last season, they had decent depth, and so I expect them to add on to that team and
I can see
expect
that.
them to challenge for one of those as well.
Well, they won't be challenging for Champions League anymore, but when Madrid continue their run, can they win it again?
It's between Madrid and Bayern, I think. Although some people have said, I have seen that
Napoli.
the attack is good, but the defense isn't that great, and that Napoli could be maybe a team to knock them out. So whether that happens to be it, those are probably the three like front runners. Who though? I have no idea, because the thing is that like Madrid again, even the 5-2 versus Liverpool, those first 2 goals, just watching Carragher like completely like soak it in, and then bam, 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 they just came back really easily, and it looked like they didn't even bother to kind of put it into next gear. And then this one, obviously, it looked like maybe I don't know, it was something like, of course, I'm gonna take my chance to crap to shit on Liverpool, whenever. But like the crap that I saw, it was like they were just chilling. Like Madrid were just playing like without urgency, I guess. And then one Ben's chance, and he put it away, and it was done, and it was done. So I don't know. Madrid, Bayern, Napoli. Who am I gonna put money on?
Real Madrid is equipo copero. Like they love cup.
Champions
They
League
love
team.
cup matches.
Like,
Like
it's
that's their lifeblood.
It's their DNA.
Yeah. So I could give it to them. Yeah.
What was the stat? I think it was like the last 6 finals that they've been in, or maybe every final that they've been in, something like that. That
Every
they've
final
won
since the Champions League rebrand.
for
Champions
Champions League. For Champions League. I think it was Champions League that every final that they've been in, they've won. That's the stat. Thank you, Marco. That's not true.
In Champions League, yes.
The
it's true.
rebrand, the rebrand.
The rebrand.
Ah, bueno, por eso, Champions League. I'm not saying Cup Winners' Cup or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Well, Real Madrid move on. Liverpool pack the bags and go back, not to Istanbul, but to Liverpool. Man City handing RB Leipzig their 7-Up trophy after Haaland scored what?
5.
5 goals? In la mano de Dios too?
No, it's just la manita.
Oh, I thought you said he had a handball goal.
No, la manita.
Oh, okay. But, I mean, it's a training session for Man City by the looks of it. I personally didn't watch the game. I think we're all more focused on the other games that were happening. But what are your guys' thoughts on this
Trash.
7-0 route?
It was a trash hat trick. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Bro. Trash
Yeah, so
hat trick.
people are.
I had
alright,
thought
so
that before that was even said.
Let me ask you. So
So-
people are shitting on Haaland right now because, he's tapping merchant, yada, yada, yada. Understood.
Who else is getting there though?
That's
Nobody else is getting to
exactly
those
it.
balls.
To have the spatial awareness, to know where to be
Nobody's
at
getting to
what
those.
times. Let's be honest. I don't know how you guys can't recall, but like when Ronaldo was scoring tap-ins, everybody
Oh,
was
no,
like,
yeah.
he's still
Oh, yeah,
scoring them.
he's-
He's still
he's
scoring
still
them. He's still scoring
getting
them.
He still has to get there.
My point
Yeah, he still
exactly.
has to.
So, are we rating this Haaland performance, or are we just hating on this Haaland performance?
I'm hating.
I wouldn't say hating, but I think we're under the impression that he's stat padding at this point. Like he's just basically scoring on demand almost.
Who did that in the NBA recently? No, wasn't it?
Oh,
Giannis?
Giannis.
Wasn't it
He
Giannis?
got the ball. He got the
Come
ball.
on,
went
bro.
up,
Yeah, for the rebound.
Get the
Come
rebound
on.
at the very last second just to get a triple double. That annoyed me, honestly. That
Yeah?
kind of annoyed me because it's not true. It's not real.
Thank you. That's how I feel. It's not real
But
from Holland.
this is you can't stat pad goals.
Okay, but what do you look at Holland? Do you see him as a complete striker, or do you see him as just a goal scorer?
Listen, man. The one thing that I saw that made me laugh a bit was there was a whole segment on TYC, which we obviously, if you guys don't know, TYC is very very leaning, Albi Celeste leaning, and they were like completely talking about how Alvarez should be benching Holland. Like,
I,
they
mean,
were-
I can't hate. I said that one at one point too.
but like Julian Alvarez benching Holland, and it's like, all right, let me listen to what they're saying, and like, of course, it sounds ridiculous.
He's a
And-
World Cup winner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is that like I don't know. I don't. There are enough times this season where Holland has been canceled out, and it's like if I'm going to recognize him as being the all out complete package, then I feel like those things should. Yes, of course, he scored 5. I'm gonna be a hater about it. Doesn't matter. As far as those times that have happened where he has been canceled out, and I think maybe even a good test coming up is this Liverpool game. Because they always seem to put up, Liverpool always seem to put up when it comes to this type of match. They want to be able to prove themselves as being like this is the game to watch, not anything else, not any other rivalry. And so if he can prove himself in that, as far as I know, has he maybe I'm going off the cuff here. I'm not sure how many goals he has against top 6 this season. And the fact that I don't have maybe something
Does
noticeable.
Arsenal, no? And
Yeah, one
United?
against us. He does.
I don't think he has any. Oh, he only has one away. He didn't score against Liverpool. He didn't score.
And he does have that hat trick at home. I do recognize that, obviously, but still, I'd like to think that maybe I want to see the chink in the armor. That's what I'm looking out for. I want to see the chink in the armor. And that's,
What would you assume that is though? What do you expect it to be?
I would expect it to be, and I had said this in the beginning of the season, was being able to adapt to the way that City play as far as everybody chipping in. And if they don't, obviously, if they make him the reference point, like you said, he's going to be there. He knows where to be, where to put himself, where to tap in, whatever. Is he going to be able to be part of the bigger project? That's what at least that's what I see. So
I think I said it before that I think he's actually the missing piece to Guardiola's thing. Like not right now, this is Guardiola's baby right now. Like, I think I said it before. where he's actually assembling every little bit and piece that he wants to, and he puts it precisely where he wants it, and it does exactly what it needs to do. Whereas before with Barcelona, like he relied on Messi. Right now, this is his passion project, I think, and this is the missing piece.
And to your what you said right now, will he play the way they play, or what would you say again?
If he adapts to
Yeah,
If he
the
adapt-
the adaptability.
Should a Man City adapt more to him?
Of course, and that would be That's
that,
exactly.
I think that would lose
what-
their identity, though. That would lose
Correct.
Guardiola's
Yes,
identity.
But
And
isn't you say he's a missing piece, and we know that he's not the kind of player to build up.
He's a goal.
No,
he's
he's a goal
not
scorer.
a
Good.
Why
He
not
got the
get the
Timberland
most-
touch. Come on, guys.
Why not get the most out of him? And we know he can produce. Isn't this a perfect scenario where, like, okay, this is a player that we've missed the whole entire time. Let's continue doing what we're doing, except we'll just adjust one position
Mhm.
and just feed him constantly. Like,
But-
how? First of all, how does he not have that many header goals? I don't understand that. For a guy such a big striker,
they basically walk the ball in.
that's what I'm saying. Like, what if they start crossing more balls? In?
Mhm.
He's gonna get more goals that way.
Yeah, I would assume so.
But I don't think he's gonna do that for that specific
Because
reason. That's a
because
fair
it's
point.
Guardiola's team.
So
Like
is-
this
is-
is literally his team now.
Is that his own Achilles heel?
Maybe I'd love that.
The fact that before Man City like basically walked the ball in, they had all the midfielders that Bruyne and Gundogan and Bernardo Silva and
Yeah, so
Foden.
being
Like
deployed as a wingback.
they literally played with no striker for the longest time, and now it's kind of like, all right, now we have to, and not everybody has to come back and go up. Now this guy can stay here, like and feed him. But I'm not sure if they're actually doing that. Like
They're not doing that, but
They're
should
not,
they do
they're
that? Would you want them? Would you want them to? I personally would want to see that because I feel like we'll see a Haaland that
mhm.
we're seeing a crazy Haaland now. I think we'll see a Haaland that's at another level at this point.
I think
if
at this
they
point-
start focusing on him.
I think at this point it's Guardiola's ego then
Mm.
that's hindering maybe Man City.
I like that. I love that.
Yeah, I think it is because I mean, just to play devil's advocate on the TYC thing that you were mentioning, I
Mm.
think it makes sense that they would say that because I mean, Julian Alvarez comes from South America. He played in at River Plate in Argentina. He's a more complete striker. He would probably fit Pep's identity better than Holland. That's why they're, even though he's still doing phenomenal, that's why they're still kind of struggling with his overall output because they're not adapting. They're not adapting. He's not adapting. So there's no adaptation there. So
Who's
I
not
can see
adapting?
why
To each
mention
other,
to each other.
Haaland?
Haaland to the
Haaland,
team and the
Pep,
team to
Pep,
Haaland.
Yeah, to all around.
Hmm.
So I can see why TYC would, not because they lean heavily to the to that side, but I can see why they make that point as well.
It's just hard to beat him on speed, physicality.
I'm
Like he
saying.
has all the traits. Like
Why not?
That's one
But
of
it
the
doesn't make him a complete striker though.
No, it doesn't make him a complete striker, but I view him as a goal scorer, and I think he has potential to finish as the best goal scorer of all time.
100%.
you ain't
Top
gonna
one,
see him
top
drop
two.
down and make plays.
No, I mean he shouldn't as
Yeah,
well.
he
That's
shouldn't.
just not his game. You
No.
know, it's like NBA terms. Like
Would that make him a
would you
complete
want-
striker?
Would you want Giannis to like pull up
Yeah.
for a three or mid
No.
range? Like,
So
obviously-
what makes him a complete striker then?
Scoring goals.
Scoring goals, right? Yeah,
Like,
To
I
me, a
complete-
striker is score goals.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. And he's doing what he's supposed to be
like
doing.
complete striker, like Harry Kane. He's complete, but
Okay, so
obviously
he has more to his game.
exactly.
Okay.
But who's a better striker? I would probably say either way. I'm not comparing Kane or Holland, but what
It's
I
hard to
love
Say
about
it.
Holland,
Say it. Say it. Give me the sound bit.
Darwin Nunez.
What time?
on.
What time's in the recording? So
Spot
you can clip it. Clip it.
spot
No, I'm
on.
kidding.
With Holland though, it's just like you said, his physicality and his pace. I like watching him. Maybe he's not as entertaining to maybe as other strikers.
You know why
or-
it's not entertaining? Because you're not there seeing him.
I think he,
to
I
see
think
this
he is
monster of a
entertaining.
fucking person jump and leap into the air, and
Athleticism.
yeah, it's just
Just
ridiculous.
because he doesn't have like the neat like little turns, touches, doesn't mean
Raw
that-
athleticism.
Yeah.
I regarded Ronaldo as the most athletic person in the world, like any sport, across any sport. And now this monster comes along, and it's like he just blows everybody out the water.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of physicality. Like in
Yeah.
NBA, I just love physical players.
Yeah.
Giannis, Holland, or whatnot. But with him, it's just because he's arguably the most physically gifted striker of all time. Arguably with Phenomenal and Adriano or whatnot, just because of his size or whatever and his speed. His speed is unmatched, and his
Could-
finishing is unreal. Like the
Yeah.
guy's ball striking, in my opinion, is the best in the world.
Like he literally looks at the spot he's gonna put it in. And he
Exactly.
puts it in that spot.
He's not like those kind of strikers who like kind of scuff it at times
Yeah.
and then it goes in, but they
No.
score at an unbelievable rate.
Mhm.
Every time the guy hits the ball, it's going in the corner.
Yeah.
So
Another
Let's go.
argument I want to start like comparing to basketball. You know, everybody says that basketball's gotten easier and everybody's soft and blah blah. Would you think that Holland would do better previously, like in a different like era? Or
think
he would
do-
demonstrate his
I
abilities
think
even
he
better?
did. I think he'd be just as good in the previous eras.
Would he be able to demonstrate his abilities even better?
I think so.
I think so also.
I think so. Because
Because-
he's just a monster. He's just a physical
Here,
presence.
the game is kind of soft now. Like,
Yeah, like he'll probably cause more fouls now than he would back
Yeah.
In the previous eras. So I would say yeah.
Because the argument with that is that back then it was harder and like grafter,
Mhm.
but the guy is like 6'5", like
Who's
probably,
gonna
like,
mess
two-
with him? Who's
gonna
he's probably
fight him?
like 210, 220. The guy will like low bro every single center back like in the 90s.
Well,
but-
some of us are Holland sexuals here, as you can tell.
Clearly.
Bobby,
I'm more of an Mbappe section myself.
Bobby.
But let's move on to just quickly want to shout out Napoli for continuing their amazing run in the Champions League, 3-0 against Frankfurt. So they continue on to the next round. That wraps up Champions League. Europa United move on with the 1-0 win at home. Right?
Away.
Away,
to
sorry.
Betis.
And Arsenal crash out against Sporting, which was honestly a very intense game to watch.
Is the
It
Kim-
was-
the
it
Kim
was
K
intense
curse or
game.
no?
The Kim Kakers, but
It is the Kim
honestly,
K curse, bro.
all
As soon as I saw that, bro, the camera switched over to Kim K and St. West there. I was like, bro,
it's over.
they just jinxed it,
jinxed
man.
it.
It's
But look,
over-
man,
it's the over meme, man.
Yeah.
I'm not as mad as I thought I was gonna be. I'm actually okay with it because after the first 20 minutes, 2 injuries.
I think
That
nah,
was
I
unfortunate.
feel like you guys got to be more upset. I would be upset just because of that.
That's why I'm not upset because I'm like, oh god, if we got injured 20 minutes into the game with 2 key players, I don't want this competition right now.
Yeah, it was.
But that means,
Tomiyasu and Saliba, yeah.
but that means
You can just focus. You just
it's
all in on the.
it's
league.
got to be Premier League. Like if we fall out of top 2, then it's
All the chips.
This
boys.
is almost a relief for them because they
It
do need to
is.
focus on
It
one
always
thing.
is.
It
It
is.
always
So
is,
like,
yeah.
am I bitter about it? Of course I am, because we want to win everything. But after watching those 2 key players fall out, it stung, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to see that. But credit to Sporting, man, fucking phenomenal game they played, and that goal Lasso they scored.
That was unreal.
Hats off to them. I have nothing to say. You guys can match me all you want.
Gonçalves, bro, Sporting.
Damn it, Raquel! Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
in
actually.
my mind, I was like, isn't it Raquel's last
Yeah,
name?
it is.
I was actually still holding out for an all English final, so I'm kind of annoyed that you guys crashed out.
Well,
I mean, it was.
so you're assuming you're in the final already.
I mean, hopefully. That's why I said I was hoping.
You
That's
just-
why I said I was hoping for an all English final. What happened?
No, honestly, I
No,
I,
all
I
the-
think
they're
I
all
think
in.
you
That's
guys
the
are
other
probably favorites
competition.
at this point.
For
Honestly,
for the draw, they're all in. What?
I'd say
I
you
think
guys
I-
are probably favorites at this point.
With probably the thing is that like Juve has been
Up and down.
yeah.
Shit, bro.
I know
It's-
they
it's-
are,
I know
but
you want Vlahovic to
at-
dunk on.
Fuck Vlahovic.
At
I
this
mean, I wouldn't
point-
mind seeing that, but fuck Vlahovic, bro.
At this point, it's Roma and Sevilla that I would honestly.
Yeah.
I would,
I
if
would
I
honestly
had money
worry
on,
about.
I'd sadly put it on you guys, but I would say you guys. But shout out to West Ham in the Europa Conference League. Comfortable win, but Fornals, who went to the ref and pleaded, please don't give this guy a red card. Keep the game alive.
Wait, to the other team?
To the yeah.
Damn.
So, I haven't seen something like that in a very long time. I forget who it was. I believe it was a West Ham player. I want to say Cross came in. Maybe you can probably recollect it for me. Cross came in and somebody was injured on the opposite end. He just caught it and was like, no, we gotta take care of him first. Do you remember that, Diego?
Mm.
Who was that?
For this game.
No. Years ago, somebody got hurt on the sideline. The cross came in, and then the attacking team, he caught the ball. No, we got.
Oh, yeah.
Was it with Fernando Torres? No.
No. I forget. Was it a West Ham player?
I can't recall. but
Ah, it's gonna bother
don't
me now.
remember.
Damn it. All right, whatever. But look, shout out to Fornals for keeping the sportsmanship alive and trying to keep the game entertaining. But they move on to the next round as well. So, any other English teams in the Europa Conference League that I'm missing? No, right? That's it.
No, it's
that's-
just them.
That's really it, man. Listen, I feel like there was a saying that came to mind because obviously penalties are the ultimate leveling field, and there was a saying that was like, "No hay penales bien tajados, sino penales mal cobrados," and it's like you can't really expect the goalie to make all of these saves, but if the player takes the penalty, and it is not well taken, it's
on
gonna
him.
end up in their hands. And there's a few actually which Ramsdale got his paws to,
Matt's
And-
would have gotten it.
and then
on both sides, I think there was one or two on Sporting side.
yeah, and then on Sporting also he
under
had guessed
Yeah.
he had guessed and one went right under him. But hey, that's the only thing, man. Penalties are the ultimate freaking
I don't-
punisher, dude.
I don't care losing the penalties. If we lost in regular time, I'd be more upset. because penalties is just like it's just luck.
Yeah, toss up. You mean?
It's
Yeah,
just a luck.
I
It's
guess so.
just-
Yeah.
It depends where the goalie is at. You could hit a horrible penalty. You could just literally scuff it.
Unless you got like
And the,
Dibu
goal, and
Martinez
the
or
goalie
something.
goes the wrong way,
Yeah.
it still goes in. Yeah.
Exactly. So I would much rather lose in penalties. That way I can you know
Really?
put an asterisk next to it as opposed to
You guys losing penalties?
yeah 100%.
That's more nerve wracking though.
It
I
is
feel like
more
it stings
nerve-wracking because
more.
At that moment. But then once it's done, it's like,
if they beat us if they beat us in full time,
that don't matter.
exactly.
That don't mean nothing.
If they beat us in full time, it's more like, oh damn, they were better than us in the full 90 plus extra time.
Yeah.
As a penalty, it's like,
But like in a Champions League final or World Cup final.
I think
You'd
it's more
rather
entertaining to watch penalties, but I would rather lose the penalties.
Nah,
That's interesting.
I'd rather because I just feel like
It doesn't actually go down as a win.
Okay,
You
but
didn't win in
If
90
you-
minutes.
bro, if you go on DraftKings and put a bet, for example, Raquel's brother was texting me because he was pissed off. He bet Arsenal to win. He's like, "Yo, what the fuck is wrong with Arsenal?" I mean, look, man, we're not at a racist. Sporting playing phenomenal right now. It is what it is. He didn't win because he bet on Arsenal to win. If they would have, I'm sorry.
He's bet on Sporting.
Yeah, he didn't win because the game was a draw. The result is a draw. Penalties to me, it's a thing of luck.
I like to bring this back to when Portugal won the Euro with 0 wins. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
they stayed champions with basically 0 wins.
The draws.
They were the third best in the group, and they drew and they penalties. I forget how it went, but basically they didn't win a single game, and they're champions.
Yeah.
How are you champions?
Yeah, I mean,
Penalties, bro.
personally, for
pretty
me,
upset
I'd rather
about
lose
it.
penalties. I don't know how you guys feel. To me, losing a full time is more. Yeah, we're just better than you, kind of thing.
Okay, that was a good point. In terms of me for heartbreaking,
Yeah,
it's
because
more
it's
heartbreaking.
like the nerves are at a different level.
But then for shit talking, you're like, nah, it doesn't matter.
Exactly, yeah, the
It's a shit,
banter
it's a
is the
shit talking
thing.
aspect.
Like
of it.
a World
It's, you
Cup
you go
final.
with your pride a little bit. You go with your little pride.
You think the French are like that right now?
What are you, French?
But
Hey,
credit to you guys for moving on to the next round. Credit to West Ham for moving on to the next round. Now that is European action that happened this week. We do have some Premier League predictions coming up for this weekend. There are a lot of games that are getting postponed due to the FA Cup. I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Liverpool, Fulham postponed, Brighton United postponed. Ooh, that's a good matchup. Man City, West Ham postponed. So the 3 games that we are going to be predicting are Brentford, Leicester, Chelsea, Everton, and Arsenal, Crystal Palace. Brentford, Leicester. Ivan Toney got called up to the English squad. Is he going to be motivated here and go on a route against Leicester, or are we expecting Leicester to pull a result out and continue this battle out of relegation?
2-1 Brentford.
And just for those who are interested, the relegation battle is probably the most intense we've seen it in.
It's still 12.
Literally anybody can drop down right now out of those teams. I'm sorry. So, yeah, Brentford at home to Leicester.
I said 2-1.
2-1 Brentford. Oh shoot. What are you
I'm
gonna
gonna
say?
I'm gonna go 3-1 Brentford.
I'm a second guy.
What'd they say?
2-1, 3-1, 3-1.
Damn.
He owns Madison in fantasy. That's what he's.
I do. I do. I don't want to Kim K myself. You know what I mean? I don't want to jinx it. I think I'm gonna go with 2-1 Brentford. I want the extra goal, but it's alright.
I think Brentford's gonna take it. I don't see why not.
Yeah. All right.
Marco?
2-0 Brentford.
Chelsea.
Put me down.
Everton.
Put me down for 1-0. I'm sorry.
Chelsea. Everton.
1-1.
I was gonna say the
1-1?
same
This
thing.
game reeks of a
1-1.
1-1.
Yes?
Absolutely.
does, yeah.
Absolutely.
It says here that
I'm going to go
They're in-
1-1.
One. I'm going 1-1 too. Fuck it.
Mudryk Howler.
A Mudryk Howler or a fucking McNeil to Tarkowski corner. That's it. 1-1.
Damn. I'm reading ugly, bro. Chelsea are unbeaten in their last 27 versus Everton, bro.
Okay, but you can still draw. You can still draw.
That's right. You can still draw and be unbeaten.
Still unbeaten.
I'm going 1-1. Let's go 1-1. Let's go 1-1.
I'm gonna say Chelsea 1-0.
Not 1-1?
No.
Get him out of here.
Sorry.
Marco, your options are 1-1, 1-1, or 1-1.
1-1. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe
I'm
You're
gonna
doing
go
that.
with Danny over here. I think Chelsea's gonna win.
Boo. Sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah,
but
I want
I
him
don't
to
think
win, it's
everything is the team to knock them out, like to stop the momentum. Even though it's a minor.
Sean Dice, bro.
This dice ball.
I'll do 2-1.
It's dice ball
Chelsea.
versus
It's
a
dice
team
ball
that can
against
barely score right
exactly.
1 or 1 no.
I said I'll go with him with the Chelsea winning. I didn't say the result.
now.
2-1, you said?
2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea.
It's dice ball versus I've only scored 7 goals in the past like 7 months.
1 goal a month. And Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. This is I'm considering a banana peel game because Arsenal coming off a pretty big loss against Sporting. Crystal Palace, again, like I said last time, they haven't gotten a win in a very long time, and they almost got it against Man City. Not a win, but at least a result.
Who were the 2 injuries for you guys? It was Tomiyasu and who else got injured?
Saliba.
Saliba. That's
I don't
big.
know how serious it was. He did walk off, a slight limp.
Van
But-
Dijk walked off.
Was Jesus taken off as a tactical
That-
thing
I
or
don't know,
or
and
because
that's
he
why
was
I'm-
hurt?
I don't know, and that's why I'm like, you know what? Just once I saw that, I'm like, just get me out of here. I don't want this anymore. In the beginning, I was yes, but like, no, I'm just terrified. It's all your fucking guy's fault, Eric Ten Hag.
No, actually, I do take point with that because I don't know why people were trying to. They were trying to paint that as like, the way I saw it. He's like,
What
and
did he even
he's-
say?
if-
I didn't know what he said.
his quote. He was talking about how he's dealt with not having the full squad. The only time he had the full squad was against City, and he's saying, you know, one game I had the full squad to select from, so I could pick tactically and technically who is going to be on the pitch for me. And then he's like, you would hope, and I feel like he's very purposeful with the words that he says. To me, it was more like he's giving credit to the fact that you would hope that we would be in a position that Arsenal are in because look at where they're at. They've had their majority of their players, and then obviously, you know, I was like, all these people like, oh yeah, what do you think Jesus has been, and like, where do you think Elneny's been? And it's like, yeah, I get,
Bro,
and Smith Rowe, okay, but I feel like
Chris Nelson.
I think he was more saying,
Vardy,
saying that like
Vardy,
to have a
yeah.
core that can play.
And Kedia now too apparently.
Kedia.
Right?
I think-
Thank you.
I think at that point, I feel like on that point he was more calling to the fact that you would hope to be in a position where Arsenal they've been able to take advantage of the players that they have at a core at least and being injury free up until that point. Whether that was a jinx or a curse or whatever, I don't know.
100%
But
jinx. 20
I-
minutes in, 2 injuries. Like fucking. hell.
listen, man, he wasn't in the stadium. Kim Kardashian was in the stadium, so I'm
He
gonna just
said
keep
Kim
going back to
Kardashian.
the. He said Kim Kardashian.
Rumor has it he bought her the tickets.
Yeah, right.
She was a
What's
Trojan whore. Sorry, horse.
Nah, bro, Saliba just saw Kim K in the stands, bro. He just
Oh
Yeah.
my
Huh?
god.
Saliba just saw Kim K in the stands. It's like I'm gonna just fake an injury real quick.
Yo.
Say what's up.
Well, Crystal Palace have only kept 1 clean sheet in their last 22 league away
Jesus.
games versus Arsenal. However, 3 of the last 4 have ended as draws versus Arsenal, with a 1 win.
I'm gonna go win. I feel like this has to be a bounce back. Come on, guys, you've done it all season. Let's bounce back. 3-0.
2-1 Arsenal Football Club.
I think if it wasn't for that damn penalty, it would have been that banana peel game last week that we were talking about. So I think Palace are going to keep that in mind. 1-1.
I don't think there was an Arsenal win.
I have plenty of times.
Oh, yeah. Dude, this does feel like it, man. Because the other thing is that I don't know if it was mentioned last time, but they were pointing out on the pre-match for the Palace game last weekend that they hadn't generated a single shot on target for the last 3 matches. Patrick, with his job on the line, feeling the pressure. I don't know. Do you think he could ring up Arteta tonight? And be like, "Yo, bro, just give me one on the low.
Let me give one pass you, but you get
Give me
two pass on
a lifeline." You know. Listen, man. But the thing is that I also don't think Zaha is back, but I don't think they got it, bro. I don't think they
Just
got
say
it.
bro. Just say it.
Bro, look at that. I'm saying 2-2.
It's pure passion that's just talking right now.
I'm saying
bro.
2-2, and
Disrespectful.
it takes
It's
into
pure
account
passion.
if
Nothing that happened all season is taken into
if-
account right now.
if Saliba's out.
I'm changing mine to 1-0
That's huge.
Palace.
So what?
I'm going 1-0 Palace.
1-0 Palace. I
Get
think
outta
I'm
here,
saying
bro. Get me
I
outta
think
here.
I think it's a draw just because historically it's been a draw.
All right.
history books.
Marco? 2-2?
What the hell would I take? I said goal.
You put it at Diego.
Yeah, the last
No,
last
it's
three
one at
Oh,
the last three
I haven't-
seasons,
Oh,
Palace
bad.
away to
just
to
skipped it.
Arsenal have ended as draws, with last season being 2-2, and the one before that 0-0. It's not a fact that I feel like Patrick Vieira is gonna freaking try to tell his fucking boys to be like, hey, listen, they'll give us 2, just defend for your lives, and then they'll probably score 2. So
No, Patrick Vieira's like, no, this is the first time that he actually had a chance to win it all. So you know what? I'm an Arsenal player. I used to be an Arsenal player. I'm gonna give him the win. All right. Danny, your
That's
result?
This one's for you.
this one's for you. Yeah, that's fair. too.
Nothing based off of today. This
Arsenal,
season. I
I
love
know.
it.
Arsenal going into this match just because of the Europa League thing, they might be a little thrown off, or it might be inspiring to them.
Which is
Obviously,
been
I don't
the
think
dialogue.
I think it's irrelevant because Arsenal, at this point, they're playing very solid. They're a solid team. They really don't have that many mistakes, and they're pretty deep. You don't have to rely too much on those 2 players. That
It feels like you've been watching Arsenal play this season.
a little bit here and there.
Oh, thank you.
Finally doing good.
Diego got milk in this if Arsenal draw.
Oh yeah, of course. But like anybody
Alright.
can randomly get a random prediction, right?
I'm gonna say
But-
2-0
fair
though.
enough. It's a
Arsenal.
random-
2-0 Arsenal.
Fair enough prediction.
2-0 Arsenal.
All right.
Marco?
Now, I agree with Danny. 2-0 Arsenal.
All right.
Keep it the clean sheet, baby. Ramsdale's coming out with pissed off that he allowed that goal to go through.
So you got Rob Holding starting.
God, no.
That's a Ramsdale.
I mean, yeah, that sleeper thing is a huge miss to be honest with you, though. But
Is Rob Holding gonna start?
I don't know. I don't know what I haven't seen anything come out from the injuries yet. I haven't checked it out the post matches, so I'll keep you guys posted on that when I see that. So, look, that's all we got for Premier League predictions. I'm sure Gat and Dave are gonna throw some stats out that make no relevance to this season, but let's
Do
hear
we
it
want
out.
to go
And-
over the
and-
recap first before we do that, since we're still on
Yeah.
predictions?
Nico, you got the
Last
numbers?
week's
Yeah, where's last week's recap, Nick?
So
Missed.
game week 26 roundup. Marco, you predicted Arsenal's result correctly.
I did.
You said 3-0 Arsenal.
Who was it against again?
Huh?
Who was it against?
What?
Fulham.
Fulham.
What did Gat say again?
2-1 Arsenal.
I
You said 2-1 Arsenal.
I predicted Arsenal win probably the
I thought you
entire
said a
season.
draw. I could have said a draw.
That's
No,
crazy.
no, he has.
Damn.
That's crazy.
That's my bad. I'm wrong. Give me a red card.
What'd you say?
I made a mistake. Come Casemiro. Sorry.
Myself with 2 and everyone else with 1. So Marco, you won this past game week.
Wait, I got
Wait,
one.
how many
that's it?
points did I have?
You had 3.
Okay, yeah. So I got 2 for
How many did I
Arsenal and
have?
1 for the Chelsea game.
I feel like he gets it wrong.
Oh
I'm just
my
kidding.
Oh
I
my
I got the other point that I got is for the Chelsea game, right? I was a
Correct.
goal off.
Correct.
Oh,
You said 2-1
yeah.
Chelsea.
said they're gonna draw. I think they're gonna draw, right?
I think we all did.
You said 2-1 Leicester.
Okay.
All right. Fantasy 15. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
All right. We are at 57 minutes.
All right.
Surprise
Let's do Fantasy 5 then. Go home based on grounded.
Oh, you guys.
I know Diego's trying to sign into his to
Yeah.
his lovely system here to recap the draft. I was hoping that he would do that because I kicked his butt this week, but I'll let him give that update.
No, literally, no one's playing the draft guy. Like, literally, it's just
Yeah, dude, just stop with that,
It-
please.
it-
Let's
I,
move
beat,
on.
I beat him. No, I'm just saying.
it's
I
an
beat
every
him.
week thing.
Don't worry about it. You won.
It's an
Grab the
every
trophy.
week
Wait, grab the toilet right now.
thing. Yeah, for real. Like,
take it, bro.
like here, just take it, please.
I'm just saying. Diego thought I wasn't gonna.
And
beat
he
him
and he
all
continues to
season.
just say,
Yo, we're wasting time, bro.
yeah, come
I'm
on,
like
man.
giving him time to sign in.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm
What's up?
fillering. I'm fillering.
Okay, so it's blank game week 28. This is typically the time that our bench and the Benchwarmers take a chance to look at their fantasy teams for all of the classic scoring leagues. This means that with what Eric had just said, there are 3 matches that are being postponed. So 6 teams are going to blank this week. And just to go over them again, it's Brighton, Fulham, Liverpool, City, United, and West Ham. There's going to be a template that's coming up, basically an 11 that you can try to look out for as far as what we're going to tell you to look out and to plan ahead with. Blank Game Week 28 could be a chance for you to gain some ranks if you've been set up well. And if not, then you can use some of your chips to try to set up your team right now. So, Gat, I'll let you take the first two important notes which we have here for Blank Game Week 28.
Yes, I think probably one of the most important ones to keep an eye on is Tony did get booked very late on this past game week on Wednesday, which now puts him one yellow card away from a 2-match suspension. So that is something you want to consider. If you don't have Tony, you probably don't want to pick him up because if, God forbid, he does pick up a yellow in game week 28, he's going to miss both games in his double game week 29, albeit they are pretty difficult games anyway, but it's still 2 games, and Tony can sometimes be a little fixture proof and fixture irrelevant, I guess, because he can pretty much show up whenever he wants. So just keep that in mind. If you have him, you're going to hold him for 28 and see what happens, deal with it later. But if you don't have him, you might want to just reconsider that. Next is Haaland. He is going to be the most transferred out player this upcoming week. A lot of people going forward, just because he does blank and he doesn't have a double in game week 29, they're going to go for players who do have the extra fixtures over Haaland. Those that have the 3 matches these next 2 weeks as opposed to his 1. However, you also got to keep in mind he did just score 5 goals in Champions League, so we'll see if that carries over, if he's going to hurt everyone who does sell him.
As far as who you can replace him with, there's some very, very popular picks, at least up front. A lot of the teams have very similar names, such as Harry Kane and Ivan Toney, which Gat had just mentioned. But for the third striker slot, if you do want to sell Haaland and try to gamble without him, basically because some of these forwards have more matches than he does, and the gamble is that they could outscore him in 3 matches versus the one that he has, which we did mention was against City when they play again on April 1st, which is a pretty long ways away back going forward, I mean, in game week 29. So those names for those popular replacements are going to be Ollie Watkins on Aston Villa, Kai Havertz and Joao Felix on Chelsea, and even Alexander Isak is making a name for himself to be the replacement from the Newcastle boys. This week, however, it could be okay to go without an 11 or a full starting 11. You could be all right with just 9 to 10 players on your field. If you do have a free transfer, if you have 2 free transfers, I'd recommend probably going with a swap. There's a lot of popular names as far as transfers in. Some of the top ones in are Chilwell, Watkins, Almiron, Kane, and Madison. Madison making a big shout, especially with the fixtures that he has coming up. It looks like he's due a haul, and so some people are trying to ride on the Madison haul early. Harry Kane has been proven all of this season that he is that steady Eddie, which Graham Souness was referring to Casemiro as when it comes to scoring points each week. And Almiron, Watkins, and Chilwell. It looks like Chilwell is going to be the preferred Chelsea fullback aside from Reece James, because it looks like he's still battling a bit of an injury, and he doesn't seem to have much of competition for that spot. As far as transfers out, who you got there, Gat, for transfers out?
Yep. So as I just mentioned, Holland's going to be the most transferred player out right now. He's currently at 193,000 net transfers out. Salah, Rashford, Darwin, and KDB also round out the list for most transfers out. Again, mainly due because some of these players do blank in game week 28. Fixtures are not that favorable for those who do have a double game week, so that's the main reasons why they're all coming out.
As far as the template 11, if you are on a wild card, if you do have a wild card, especially if you'd like to be able to take advantage of the double game week in 29 once they do get back from international break, the 3 most popular names for the goalkeeping position, we have David Raya, Kepa, and Ward. Across the back line, we have Chilwell, Trippier, Cher, with Botman coming in as a close third, Gabriel, and Estupinian from Brighton. Across the midfield, Saka, March, Mitoma, and McAllister. The 3 Brighton boys are looking to be very, I guess, popular. And the reason why you want to have them in is just to have them as a placeholder. Most people are going with a 2-man midfield, which you can do. You could do a 5-2-3 formation for your fantasy team. Odegaard and Madison round out those names for the midfield. And as far as the front line, some of the popular options, like we had mentioned, Kane, Tony, Watkins, and Havertz. As far as captaincy options, we have Harry Kane away to Southampton. Looks like it could be a chance for Tottenham to get a bit of form back after crashing out and having some up and down roller coaster, I guess, performances under Antonio Conte. And Saka with penalty duties against Crystal Palace at home. Although you could also go with any other of the Arsenal boys if you want to take a swing at it for your captaincy.
Oh, that was for penalties. Not Martinelli.
No, not Martinelli. No, not Martinelli. As far as our draft league, just so that Gat gets his ego stroked a little bit and taken care of. Gat is comfortably in first with 21 wins, 64 points. Myself, Diego in second, Nick in third, Marco overtaking Eric for fourth place, and Josue in sixth. As far as the results this week, Gat wanted to point out that he got 69 points to my 52. Very lucky, considering the fact that he puts 15 hours into this every goddamn week. Josue barely beating out Eric, 38 to 34, and then Marco with a massive 72 to 30 score line against Nick. It looks like Tony, McAllister, and Gabriel leading the line for his team. As far as our draft league, we'll see how that ends up. It's most likely going to be Gad. Whatever prize we weren't going to have for Gad, we'll not give to him at the end of the season.
Are a lot of people free hitting this week?
It looks like some people could be free hitting, and that's a good. That we'll end it on that note. If you do want to free hit, you could field an 11. However, I guess in my opinion, disclaimer, goddamn disclaimer, is that it would be much more beneficial just to take a hit or two if you have some free transfers, because a lot of the people are going to have the same teams. The thing with a kind of free hitting, especially on a blank game week, is that if only certain players are available from the same teams, the best ones are going to be picked by people that have already set up their squads regardless. I think the free hit, and personally, if you haven't had the time to organize it, I think the free hit could be best used in a double where you have a much larger plethora of options to go for, and that way you can strengthen your squad. It could mean that you have a low score this week, but if you do have a free hit, you might want to save that for double game week 29 after the international break, so that you can have not only a feeling for points if you do decide to use it there. However, the players that we mentioned on this bit, if you do want a free hit, I see no reason in going for them. In fact, if you do want to maximize your budget, you could go ahead and pick, a very weak bench, a very cheap bench, and then just strengthen all 11 slots. You could pick the best of the best, but as far as what Chelsea will do, if Havertz will score, if Joao Felix will score, it's kind of rough. I mean, I think one of the names that hasn't been there is probably Heung-min Son. I don't think he's in many teams. And against Southampton, maybe he makes a comeback, but he hasn't been very consistent this season. I would think the likes of maybe Kulusevski would probably, and the fact that Lucas Moura started matches recently, it's a bit of a toss-up. So that's it for this Fantasy 15 segment. What's your time?
I put my phone out.
Oh my god.
1 hour. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I closed the app. Fuck, I closed the app. I had the app open.
Wait, come on, man.
What time are you at right now?
Hour and 6 minutes.
So I was like about 9 minutes.
All right,
okay,
perfect.
cool.
Under 10 minutes, all wrapped neatly in a bow. Remember, it is a blank game week. The deadline is tomorrow. Tomorrow
At
afternoon, the first
2:30
game.
in the afternoon.
You're gonna want to make sure that your team is in and
Yes.
set up.
Worst case, get your bus teams ready. That way, when you do forget, at least you're set up already.
We good?
You
Yep.
good?
Anything else?
Uh,
Final messages?
listen, man, we're keeping a close eye on the Barcelona corruption case.
Ooh.
The tax agency has declared that they found 7 different bank accounts that they've used to pay off Negreira as part of the refereeing committee. Where that's going, it's going to be very interesting. So I just want to point that out again. I know we did mention it on the last episode, and we'll get little tidbits here and there for the weeks to come. So we'll see how that goes. There's also a pending Man City investigation. I hope people haven't forgotten about that.
Oh,
That's what I was
God,
gonna say.
forgot about
Exactly.
that.
Like the media, people have forgotten about that very quickly.
They swept under the rug,
And
bro.
there's
That's
also
why,
an,
that's why I'm not buying the smoke screen, Holland.
s-
I'm not buying the smoke screen against Leipzig. I'm not.
Southgate is also forgetting that there's also pending charges against Ivan Toney because he just called up Ivan
Oh
Toney
yes,
for the
Ivan
England
Tony
squad
getting called up.
when apparently he was set to.
I
probably
do feel
miss the
bad
England squad.
I feel bad for Tomori, bro. I think it's criminal that, and I will say this, that Maguire's played less than 1,000 minutes all season.
And he's
Can we-
and
Calvin
he,
Phillips?
and he was probably the
Calvin
and
Phillips
he was
also.
probably the first name on the
He
team
probably
sheet.
wasn't
That's
afraid.
bad.
Southgate was sitting in his
Oh.
what would be a very English room to have in your house? In his study? Southgate was sitting in his study. We'll go with that. Oh, in the loo. Southgate was sitting on the loo.
First play on the list.
Harry Maguire.
Dude, he was taking a shit. I was like,
Harry Maguire. listen, man.
That's the
I,
whole conversation. Like, do players go by merit or do players go by favoritism?
I think on international squads, 1,000% favoritism.
favoritism.
The fuck
And
up.
I can say that at least for looking at it from at least the standpoint of the Mexican national team, there's a lot of players that it's like, come on, bro, like like that's like my compadre's uncle's like brother-in-law's kid. You got to put him on the team, bro. What do you think I'm here for?
I'm proposing a change.
Oh shit.
Coaches cannot pick their teams. The teams are voted by the people of their country.
Ooh, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but sometimes some Twitter managers be saying some goofy shit though.
Yeah,
but
but it
who
has
would
to be
vote?
like legit people.
But then,
Huh?
I don't.
but then,
But
then
Why
if
not
they
like how we all
lose,
vote for president, we
then
all
it-
vote for our team.
but then if they lose, it's gonna be like, oh, the manager didn't have a say in who he wanted.
You choose your manager too, then.
The manager has a the manager has an ultimate veto where he just
Have a super Tuesday, have a super Tuesday, but just for footy.
yeah, exactly. Hey, that's crazy.
That'd be nice.
As far as and we'll see.
I like that.
Okay, the changes to the World Cup.
Oh,
I don't think we
yeah.
talked about
Yeah,
that.
wow, I like
100,
the go over.
100 and what? 102, 104 matches?
108, I thought, or something like
No,
that.
I read 104. I remember that. And it was
Definitely over 100.
all top
24
two
extra
teams.
matches or something?
All top two teams advanced,
And the
and
best third
eight
place- eight
of the best
third
third place teams.
I think that's a good Monday conversation actually, because we shouldn't really have much because there's just a few games to recap. So
That's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will-
Yeah,
well-
international break coming up after this weekend,
that's
so
right,
so we're
that's
gonna have
right.
some
Very
time,
good point.
to relax. Yeah.
So with that being said, no glove, no love. We are the Benchwarmers, the bench of the voice. The bench is always warm. Peace, everybody.
All of it, bro.
Both of you had